We're going to get started here in just a few minutes. We'll start on the dot of 1:30. But so far, thank you for joining us. All right. All right. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar on attracting and retaining talent, particularly in this post-pandemic moment. We are here with Plumbers, who was just last week named a top place to work for 2021. They've been listed as CBus #1 pick in 2020 and was our own BBB Torch Award recipient in 2017. They're here to help us look at creating and maintaining success in the recruitment and retention of employees. Annie Jacobs has been with the Plumbers since 2021. She's the Human Resources Coordinator. With a strong background in benefits administration, she loves all things human resource related. She's passionate about helping people and fully embraces the Plumber core value. Without helping people, we don't exist, she says. Annie strongly believes that Plumbers is in the business of not only helping the customers, but also helping employees with questions or problems and helping them to grow their careers. Trevor Engle is a recruiter with Plumbers, and he's been with them since March of this year. He brings a background in recruiting with a focus on technology recruiting and healthcare. He's known for his love of the job and his pride in his work. And he says, I always say that my job at Eco is easy because the jobs I'm recruiting for are truly fantastic opportunities that I'm proud to talk to people about. When you love your job and the jobs that you're recruiting for, people can genuinely tell and they get excited to be part of that team and culture. So they're here to talk to us today about that team and culture and how they've grown it and how we can apply that as accredited businesses across our own recruiting and retention practices. So we are going to go ahead and switch to the PowerPoint presentation. If you would like to download this PowerPoint presentation, in your sidebar, you should see something for handouts. You'll be able to see the handouts and also a small library of their recruitment YouTube videos. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share the screen of monitor 2. So we go there. All right. All right. So let's see. Okay. So feel free to take it away.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for having us here today. As she mentioned, my name is Annie. I'm the Human Resources Coordinator for the Plumbers. So we'll start by just giving you kind of a brief history of who we are. We've been in business since 2007. Have grown pretty rapidly since that time. We've been in Hilliard as our main headquarters since 2013. Our owner, Aaron Gaynor, also our CEO, started in the plumbing trade right out of high school. He was licensed by the age of 23 and always had this dream of owning and operating his own business. And so that's exactly what he did. That's how Plumbers came to exist. So one of the things that he's very passionate about is bringing people into the trades, giving them the opportunity to grow their careers, and have some longevity in that. And so that's part of why we opened up Eco University in January of 2021. That was our first training center, which is right in Hilliard. So that's a huge part of who we are and how we kind of attract and retain some of the talent that we have there. So what you guys are seeing on the screen, this is kind of a snippet of our virtual tour. And that is essentially kind of the first step in our recruiting process. So when applicants apply for any of the positions that we have open at the Eco Plumbers, they are then prompted, whether they apply through our website or through like an external source like Indeed or whatever, we then send them a response which prompts them to select a day and time to participate in a virtual tour of the company. We used to do these tours in person, but with the pandemic that changed things a little bit, obviously. So since 2020, we've been doing them virtually, which has turned out just fine. But during that tour, it gives applicants an opportunity to explore our company and see, is this somewhere where I really want to work? We talk to them a little bit about our company history. We explain our culture and our core values. We also talk to them a little bit about the growth that we've experienced in the 15 years since we have opened our doors. And then we kind of share just some different things about the opportunities that we have there. We talk about EcoU because it is a huge part of who we are. And then from there, we talk a little bit about our reputation within the company, as well as just some different success stories that we've had with people that have gone through EcoU or that have, taken other career paths within the company. So it really just gives people an opportunity to explore who we are and what we're about, and then make an informed decision as to whether or not this is something that they really want to move forward with prior to coming in for an interview. I know I've often heard it said that an interview is as much about you interviewing the company as it is about them interviewing you for the position. And so I think this gives our applicants an opportunity to do that before they even move forward to the next step in that interview process. So move to the next slide there.
All right. And we are getting, we're about 200 employees right now. That's where we're sitting at as a company. And even though we're getting kind of large at this point, as far as companies go, we still like to consider ourselves a family company, and we try to embody that as much as we possibly can. And a big part of being a family and being part of the community is giving back. In addition to like the services that we provide as the Eco Plumbers and plumbing and HVAC services, we also like to give back as much as we can. And we've done several things throughout the last couple of years as an example of what we like to do. And in that March of 2020, when things were starting to get a little bad with COVID, we decided as a company, because we were doing quite well that month, that we decided to give a portion of every single one of our calls to the Mid-Ohio Food Collective. And we ended up raising over $20,000, which is really great. And we also do work with Nationwide Children's Hospital, as well as Hope Hollow and Star House. Hope Hollow is a cancer respite care facility, and Star House is a foster home for at-risk youth. And we do all of our plumbing services for them for free. And we also do an annual toy drive where we donate toys to local shelters and whatnot, and we fill up the truck to the brim with as many toys as we possibly can. And we also do something for Earth Day every year. This past Earth Day, which is about a month ago now, we decided to work with the city of Hilliard, and they had a program where you could donate, or not donate, but dispose of materials that you can't usually dispose of, like refrigerators and TVs and things like that, styrofoam. We supplied the workforce for that, and it's a lot of fun. And as the world is, knock on wood, hopefully opening back up again, we're trying to get more involved with the community, and we're also, as we're getting more employees, have more people to volunteer and whatnot.
So this next portion of our virtual tour that we have here really highlights a lot about our Eco University. One of the things one of the big questions that I think that we get very frequently during our tours is, why are you the Eco Plumbers? What makes you eco-friendly? So that's something that I kind of like to talk about. We actually became the first eco or green friendly plumbing company in 2012. So what that means is that we offer a lot of water and energy saving products and services to our customers. So we do a lot of tankless water heaters, lots of things like low flush toilets, water saving faucets, that kind of stuff. We also make sure that we responsibly dispose of worksite materials. We make sure that we are recycling in the office as well. we do a lot to try to maintain that commitment to being eco-friendly. So that's a huge part of who we are. And so we try to make sure that, you know, when we're bringing people in, that they understand that about our culture. And so part of Eco University is learning about how we do all of those things. So part of what we talk about when we do our virtual tour is Eco University, because it is a huge part of who we are. So even for people that are not applying to join the trades in that sense, that are maybe applying for a support position or, you know, something in our accounting department or whatever, we really want them to understand why EcoU is so important to us. And that brings us to kind of the next part of our recruitment process, which is our ride and decide process. So we really believe in doing what we call recruit to reality. So anybody that is interested in going through our Eco University program to become a plumber, we actually have them come in and do what we call a ride and decide day. So they come in typically around 9 o'clock in the morning, and we have them ride along with one of our service technicians just for the day, so that they can actually get a feel for what does a day in the life look like. It's not somebody just telling them or giving them a printout that has the job description. They're actually walking through it for an entire day and seeing, is this something that I really want to do? So we've had a lot of success with that, because, you know, we have some people that come in and are like, yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And then there's others that are like, you know, this was a great experience, but not sure that this is for me. So I think it really is helpful to give people that opportunity on the front end before day one, to really explore what does a day in the life look like, and, you know, how is this whole Eco University thing structured? Because we do ask, you know, if people are coming in and going through EcoU, we do have them sign a 2-year commitment with the company. So kind of what the way that Eco University works is it is a 14-week paid training program. So when they come in for the 14 weeks, we have the class kind of split between classroom time and time in the lab, which is what you're seeing on the screen there. Everything that's up on that platform in the lab is fully functional, all the fixtures and things that you see there. We also have traditional tank water heaters and tankless water heaters for them to get an opportunity to practice on. And our instructors are all master plumbers, so they're great resources that really provide them with a very well-rounded plumbing education. So during their time at Eco University, about half of their time is spent there in the classroom doing kind of the book learning portion of things. And then the other half of their time is spent in our lab getting that hands-on experience, and then doing additional ride-alongs with our experienced technicians, so that they're immediately getting the opportunity to apply what they're learning in the classroom into real-life experiences. And so it really sets them up for success when they do graduate and then go solo in their own trucks. And we've had a lot of success with EcoU. We're currently on our 5th class, which is pretty exciting. We typically have a class size of about 20, give or take a few. And that seems to kind of be the sweet spot. But it's a really unique program. It's something that we're very proud of, and definitely is kind of the core of who we are.
And kind of in the same vein, so this is part of our presentation as well, we like to talk about success stories. And this is Nathaniel. So he attended our 2nd Eco University class, and he started right out of high school. And we love to talk about him because, you know, we don't like to talk about the trades as an alternative to going to college. It's not an alternative. It is a opportunity just like anything else, and it's a fantastic opportunity where you can come right out of school, you know, at 18 and, you know, make great money and have a lifelong career that you can start to build for yourself right from scratch. And Nathaniel is a great example of that, because he started right out of high school. He worked in our warehouse for a few months waiting for the next class to start. And then he went straight into the university, and he graduated, and now he's our youngest lead installer in the company's history. And, you know, we're really excited for his future and everything, because when you first graduate, we have you do simpler tasks, simpler calls, and then we work your way up into becoming a master plumber over time. And we're excited to continue to work with him as he continues to learn how to become a master plumber and do those service trainings like Annie mentioned, to, you know, continue to grow and learn. But yeah, he's a great example of somebody who got through the program and, you know, is now really happy with Eco and, you know, has a really, really bright future ahead of him.
So this next slide that you guys are seeing here is another huge part of our presentation when we're going through that virtual tour, just kind of talking a little bit about our core values and our mission statement. So we really do believe in our core values. They really do kind of structure how we do what we do every single day. So just to highlight on a couple of those, without helping people, we do not exist. We are a home service plumbing company. We are not doing large construction or commercial work. We are going in and fixing, the issues that people are experiencing in their homes. We're the ones that are showing up when somebody calls and says, hey, my hot water tank is spewing water all over my basement and it's flooding. I need some help. So we recognize that, and we really do try to make sure that it's a great experience from start to finish for our customers. Grow or die is the next core value that we have here. And so we really believe in bringing great people in and giving them the opportunity to grow their career along with us. We have grown quite significantly since we opened our doors in 2007. When we first opened, we had, I think, 3 employees, and we're now sitting at over 200, which is amazing. And so we want to bring people in and give them the opportunity. If they want to move upwards, we want to know what they want to do so that we can help them to do that and to grow along with us. Whatever it takes is the next one that's on the list here. And we really do believe in doing whatever it takes to create a really phenomenal experience for our customers and for our employees from the very first day that they walk through our doors. One of the things that I think is a huge part of how we ensure that we're doing whatever it takes with our new candidates and with our recruiting process is using an applicant tracking system and an HRIS system to make sure that we are kind of maintaining the integrity and just keeping track of everybody and keeping things organized. So I'll let Trevor talk to you about that here in a second. Win the day is the next one on here, and we really believe in celebrating the big wins and the small wins, whatever those may be. That's a big part of what we do on a daily basis. We actually send around what we call our win board each day, and it just kind of highlights some of the exciting things that each of our team members are doing, and it's a really cool way to get to share in everybody's successes every single day, whether they're like really big, huge wins or maybe smaller little bits, but we try to celebrate them regardless of how much of an impact they have. And the last one is pride of work, and we are extremely proud of the work that we do and the products and the services that we provide to our customers. We're also very proud of just the overall experience that we provide to our candidates as they're just beginning to kind of explore different opportunities with us as a company. So Trevor, you want to talk a little bit about our applicant tracking system?
Absolutely. So for our applicant tracking system, we actually use Monday.com as our applicant tracking system, which is not a traditional ATS by any means, but it works really well for a company of our size because we have a lot of moving parts and a lot of things that we want to make very specific, and Monday really allows for that flexibility. As a recruiter and as when you're dealing with talent acquisition and recruiting, I always say that 80% of the job, if not more, is just organization. If you want to retain and recruit top talent, you need to be able to keep track of them. So if you can't tell where they're at in the process, if you're not sure who talked to them or what you said to them, it can be very, very easy to get overwhelmed and to, you have like 100 different conversations, if not more, like 200 different conversations going at any given time during the week. So you have to have that really, really tight system as an ATS that kind of keeps track of everything. And with Monday.com, we keep track of where they're at in the process as far as if we've spoken to them, if they signed up for one of our Zoom information sessions, if they have completed the questionnaires that we require of them, if they have completed the assessments that we require of them, and then where we're at in the interview process as far as are they coming in for an interview, where are they going to be, who are they interviewing with, and Monday really allows for that flexibility to kind of put all those pieces together and then create data at the end of the day is a big part of it as well, because we want to be able to see the big data of, okay, well, where are we doing well and where are we doing poorly, so that way we can improve those processes constantly.
And the other, I guess, huge benefit to using some kind of an applicant tracking system Monday is actually a project management platform, and we've just tailored it to do what we want it to. The huge benefit is then it makes for a very smooth transition for recruiting to then move them on over to HR when it's time to actually onboard our new applicants that are now our new team members. It just makes it very easy because they're all already in one place. And so it's very easy for me to go in there and see, when they completed their interview, what department they're going to be starting with, what is their start date, when did we send an offer out to them. And then we also use that same system to track, have they completed their pre-employment drug screen and background check? Where are we at on that process? Do we need to order uniforms for this person? Do we need to create a tailored plan for them so that we have something specific built out for their training if they need something a little different as far as technology is concerned or whatever. And then we have an HRIS platform that we use called Zenefits, which is how we are able to then send out their offer. That way they can go in and electronically sign the acceptance letter. And then from there, that's how we manage, we've got all of their personal information, their contact information in there. We also use that to send out additional correspondence to our team members, any additional documents that they may need to sign throughout the course of their employment. We also use Zenefits as the way for them to clock in and out. It has that capability. And that's also how we are able to track like time off requests and all that kind of stuff. So between those two platforms, it just makes for a very smooth transition from the recruiting and onboarding process into, the moment that they actually become a team member here with us.
Okay, so I'll facilitate a discussion going forward here. There are a couple of things that jumped out to me that I'd like to know a little bit more about. And also some of the bullet points, let's expand upon those of some of our key takeaways. Folks in the audience, if you'd like to ask a question, you're welcome to unmute yourself. If you cannot do so, feel free to put it in the chat and we'll be able to read and address your question as needed. So one of the bullet points that we were expanding upon was the equal opportunity application process. How do you tackle that one? That's a big monster to tackle.
Yeah, it is for sure. So the way that our application process works, we've got job postings on our website as well as on some platforms like Indeed. Anytime that somebody applies, we actually don't even look at their resume until they're further along in the process. So once they apply, everybody, regardless of qualifications or where they're at, then gets a response with an opportunity to fill out just a brief questionnaire, as well as an opportunity to then sign up for one of those virtual tours. So once they have completed the virtual tour, they are then sent a follow-up link that has just kind of a questionnaire about, what did you think of the tour? What did you learn? And then once they have completed the tour, they completed the post-tour assessment, that is where we then start to actually look at resumes and determine, does this person have the qualifications that we're looking for? The cool thing about that is that we're not denying anybody until they've actually gone through all of those steps. And oftentimes what we've found through that process is that even though somebody may not be a great fit for maybe the role that they applied for, they may be a really good fit for another role that we have open within the company. So we've had some great success with that to be able to source for other positions that are open.
How do you manage that process and that workflow? Sourcing into another division, so to speak.
So, it's all of that information is housed in Monday.com. So when they complete the post-tour assessment, the answers to that questionnaire go into Monday. So we're able to view everybody who has completed the post-tour assessment there and kind of review their answers. And at that point, that's where we go through and say, okay, what am I thinking for this person? And a lot of times we'll chat back and forth about different applicants and be like, oh, you know what? I know she applied for the call center position, but I think she'd actually be really good in dispatch. Maybe let's give this person a call and just, see if they'd even be interested in that.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it works. It depends on the position. Like if it was maybe a position that we didn't have posted and something that we've been thinking about and it's down the pipeline, then we would probably have a conversation with the hiring manager was for that role and maybe send a resume or the responses and everything over. And then from there, he would always have a conversation with you before like just saying, hey, we're going to bring you in for this role and like not even talk to you about it because we, we know you didn't apply for this role. And usually I would reach out and say, hey, I know you applied for this, but we have this new position. And I always start off by telling them all about it and kind of what the gist of it is. And then, seeing if that interest align, because it's all about at the end of the day, the way that I've always been taught as recruiting is it's a lot like matchmaking. It's a lot like dating in a way. You have to make sure that everybody kind of lines up together and everything works out well, and all those interests align. So, that's kind of the way that we look at it and kind of how we manage it from there. And if everybody is all interested, kind of move forward.
Excellent. So you mentioned across this process that you basically surveyed the employees or potential employees and gained their feedback. Do you have specific touch points on the employee journey to find out their feedback? And then how do you deal with that information and implement those ideas?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first step is when they first apply to us, whether they submit it through our website or through Indeed, we then respond with a questionnaire that has some things like, how did you hear about us? What position are you interested in? Basic contact information, that kind of stuff. So we do, and there are a couple of like personality type questions in there as well. So that's our first, touch point where we're reviewing those answers. From there, once they sign up for one of the virtual tours, after the tour, they're given the opportunity to complete a one-score assessment, which kind of just helps us see, are they a traditionally good fit for the position they applied for? And then they also complete a subsequent questionnaire that just asks them some questions about, what is your current position? What's the most recent book or podcast you read or listened to better yourself? What type of salary range are you looking for? What's your reason for leaving your current job? What are some of your successes? What are some of the areas where you feel like you need improvement? That kind of stuff. And so that's our second touch point with them. And then from there, we would move forward with reaching out and, scheduling an in-person interview if they seem like a good fit for that role.
Excellent. So I love your sentiment about grow or die.
Yeah.
Grow or die, do it. So how do you ascertain where the employees want to grow and what they want to grow up to be, as it were?
So we ask them. So once somebody starts working for us, we have a couple of different touch points within their first couple of months with us. So for our technicians that are out and running calls, whether they're HVAC or plumbing, we do a check-in with them typically around the 30-day mark after they've been solo in their truck for 30 days. And then for the rest of the folks that are coming in and working with us, we do a check-in at 90 days. And so during those times, we ask them for specific feedback on what do you think could be improved during the onboarding process? What did you like? What did you not like about your onboarding and hiring process? And then we ask them, what are you looking for? Are you wanting to grow within the company? Do you just really love your position and want to grow within that role? Are you looking for something else? And those have been really helpful tools, just having those checkpoints, because we've found pretty early on in people's time with us that okay, I'm working in the call center, but my ultimate goal is to move into a role with either HR or marketing. It's I would never have known that if I hadn't met with you at your 90-day mark to have that conversation. So those have been really, really crucial and just really beneficial.
So post-pandemic, during this moment of great exodus, what are you seeing in the feedback? Are there shifts in values? Are there shifts in desires? And how could we help our accredited businesses anticipate some of those things based on your experience?
I'm sorry, you want me to? Yeah, I definitely think, I've done a lot of reading about, the Great Resignation and all that right now. Yeah. It is a weird time for sure as far as recruiting and retention is concerned. I think people, at least in my experience, over the past year or so, it seems like people really want for just to be heard by their employer. They want to feel like their feedback is not just being listened to, but that changes are being implemented. And they want to feel like they have an opportunity to make an impact or to grow, and not to just be told oh, well, there may be a position down the line. It seems like people want specific things like, okay, if this is where I want my career to be in 3 years, how can you help me get there? What steps can you provide me to take so that I can get to that place in 2 years or 3 years or whatever the case may be? And I think that is pretty key, is just giving people those tools, and then kind of putting the ball in their court and saying, okay, well, here's what I'm going to give you. And then let's check back in 6 months and see where you're at with this. If things have changed at that point, okay. But I think, people want to be listened to, they want to be heard, and they want to feel like they're able to make an impact and be able to see some of those changes.
And Trevor, what is your viewpoint from the recruiter perspective?
I think just being very, very upfront and honest with candidates. I am very, very big on transparency and telling all the candidates all the details of the position right from the start. Because with the great resignation, there's a lot of positions that are posted out there, and so I think how we try to stand out, because I know that a lot of people get frustrated with the process when they're applying, and maybe there's just one question that they want to ask. And they're not getting a straight answer on exactly what it is. So I always try to be very upfront and honest with people on, whether or not the position is in person or remote, or what the salary ranges are, and what the job duties of the position are, and what the growth potentials are. So I think with the Great Resignation, kind of the culture shift right now is there's a lot more power, obviously, in the employees' hands and the candidates' hands, which is great in a lot of ways, because it empowers them to ask great questions and to make sure that they are getting into a company that is a good fit for them. It's not a negative, for them to have more power, because really it just means that they have more opportunities to make sure that they can pick the right fit, which ultimately means we are getting a better person at the end of the day, because people aren't desperate to get whatever.
I think too, another part of that, especially in this strange time period that we're in, I think that's where doing things like having a virtual tour is really, really crucial, because I don't think applicants are as much just looking for a job that's going to pay the bills as they are looking for that culture fit. The culture is not just about having free snacks in the break room and throwing great company parties. It's also very much about what are your core values and how are you living them out every single day? And being able to see evidence of that in your coworkers and in just, the general energy of a place. And I think that's why conducting these tours is such a great thing, because it gives applicants an opportunity to kind of get a peek into that and see, this is a really great place to work. Actually it is, and not just be okay, well, I'm applying to this company that I know nothing about. Maybe I've seen their trucks driving around on the road, but that's all I know about them. We're giving them a snapshot of what a day in the life actually looks like and who we are as an organization.
So once you have them, how do you keep them? Particularly when everyone's poaching.
Good question. I think there's a couple of things that we do. I think definitely making sure that we're doing the regular check-ins, and kind of just building those relationships. We also have a really open door policy, and we're very upfront about that throughout the onboarding process. And part of that, I think, is too because we are a smaller company, we're able to do that, but there's nobody within our organization that's off limits to anybody. Everybody pretty well knows that they can go as high as they need if they feel like something isn't being addressed appropriately and they've got an issue. I will say that's one of the things that I really admire about our upper leadership, is that they are not above just walking in and having a conversation with somebody that maybe is on the fence, or if somebody's going through something really hard, upper leadership knows about it and they'll go talk to the person. And I think just those relationships are really, really crucial. That's a huge part of it.
Absolutely. Now, Trevor, you alluded to whether positions were remote or face-to-face. What are some of the residuals of post-pandemic changes that you're going to keep implemented as a best practice?
Well, I think something that we're probably going to keep as a best practice is, the Zoom tours. I know we would like to get back to in-person events, most people would at some point in the future. But for now, I definitely think that people do like the Zoom tours because they're very convenient. Making sure that we can be more convenient to well, especially the hiring process for most people are currently working, and it's hard for them to get away from their jobs to look for something new. That is a great opportunity for people who don't have that flexibility to come and still meet with us and do things along those lines. And then, as far as like remote and all that good stuff, it seems like there are really three major camps of either there are people who hate remote and only want to work in person, there are people who want to do hybrid, and there's some people who are like, I never want to work with another office again. And, as a business, we have moved towards keeping people in person. We feel that it gets a much better culture for us, and it works well for us. And a lot of the people that we talk to in interviews, they tell us that that's what they want. They want to only come in because they like that interaction, like being able to see people on a day-to-day basis. And, it's not nearly as lonely. It's kind of the other piece of it.
And to be fair, we are a home service plumbing company. It's not really possible to do plumbing remotely. So I think, we kind of adopted that mindset pretty early on, was that our technicians are still working out in the field in person. We're all going to be in person, obviously. If somebody is ill, by all means, stay away, stay at home. Let's all be safe. But I think that was, kind of the thought process there.
So culture fits, flexibility, transparency among leadership, and easy to approach. These are all key elements to building a strong relationship with your employees. What are you doing to enable flexibility and the uniqueness of each employee's needs to be accommodated for?
I think some of that is on a case-by-case basis. We do offer a variety of different shifts depending on what position, you're working in. Our technicians have different shifts that are available. Same thing with like our call center and dispatch roles. So we try to be flexible in that manner. I mean, we do have people that are, they're going to school, they're taking classes in evenings or weekends or whatever. And so, we have opportunities for people to make schedule accommodations like that we allow them to do that. I recognize that, people have lives outside of work. They're not just, coming in to be hours and signing their life away. And so we do try to make sure that we place an emphasis on work-life balance. That's definitely a big part of who we are. And so, part of our culture is then celebrating and having opportunities to celebrate together as a group. So we try to make sure that we do host a variety of different events throughout the year for our team members. Whether that's our larger scale annual parties or, different days where we just bring in a food truck for everybody, company pays for it, or just smaller things like that. And I think, those things are, it's not always about like handing out awards and raises and things, but just some of those smaller scale things to make people feel like they're appreciated is a huge part of retention.
So the question is it about the money? Particularly now.
Yeah, I would say in some respects for sure. We do a lot of research on our end, just trying to make sure that we are remaining competitive as far as our benefits packages and our salaries. I do think that's a huge piece of recruiting for sure. But it also is certainly about the culture, and it's really a lot of who we are is our culture. So we try to just make sure that we create just the perfect package of all of the above for the people that work for us.
Absolutely. It looks like we do have a question. Yes, here. Tronda is asking, I could not clearly hear the names of the software that you use to track employees.
It's Monday.com.
Monday.com.
The day after Sunday.
Yep.
And it is a project management tool, but you have retooled it for your HR. How have you retooled it?
So it is extremely customizable. I mean, you can pretty much make it do whatever you want it to do. It has the capability of creating like automations within the system so that, when you're moving somebody from one stage, that it will automatically bump them down to the next step where they need to be. You can set it up to send notifications to different people within the organization. So we have it like for once they move on to kind of like the onboarding piece, once they've accepted their offer, we have it set up to where I can go in and click a button if they need an iPad or if they need a laptop set up, and then it sends a notification over to the person that handles all of that so that they know, oh, okay, I've got this person starting on May 31st. They're going to need an iPad. I need to get that started for them. So it's very customizable. It's pretty user friendly. We're big fans.
And it's kind of like Excel on steroids is the way to think about it. It's all like, it's all got rows and everything and columns, and that's kind of how we keep track of everything. And yeah, I mean, it's just all online and it has the user interaction and the ability to notify others. But yeah, it's not traditionally an ATS system. And we've kind of utilized the forms that you can use on there as a application process. The questionnaires that we were talking about, they're just links to fill out different questions on there, and they automatically populate into our system. So that's how we kind of retooled it as an ATS.
Nice. We do have another question. Is work-life balance coming up as more of a topic during the interview process? Do you think you've had to evolve to accommodate this?
Not, I don't know. It's actually one of the questions that we asked during the interview, is how happy are you currently with your work-life balance? That kind of helps us figure out, based on different positions, like, is this going to fit? Obviously, plumbing, if somebody's coming on and is, exploring like Eco University and they're wanting to become a plumber, it's not your typical 9-to-5 job. If you're in somebody's basement working on their water heater and 5 p.m. hits, you can't just say, oh, well, time to go and just leave that person hanging. So, that is certainly a question that we ask, and not to say that you're going to be working 90 hours a week by any means, but we do want to make sure that applicants know that based on the position they're applying for, this is what the expectations are as far as the hours you may have to work, or the flexibility or lack of in that position.
Well, and it kind of comes back to what I was saying about being very transparent about the position and always telling them up front, this is what it is. I tell everyone, I ask everyone, hey, here are the hours for this role. Is that something that'll work for you? And tell me if that doesn't, and what would work for you. So that way everybody's on the same page, because a lot of those issues come into play when you start a job and then expectations are not being met, where you thought this was going to be a normal 8 to 5, and then all of a sudden you're being asked consistently to stay to like 7 or like shift your schedule around. So we're always very upfront, and not that we do that, but that's just an example of being very upfront and honest about that.
So a question for you then. To that extent, what 4 RABs in a general sense, in your years of experience, would you say would rule someone in as a rule of thumb best alert to a potential employee? And what would rule someone out?
With regard to scheduling, or
with regard to hiring, with regard to personality, culture, how do you approach it, and what's your immediate strike on the Family Feud board? And what would be something that would be, one of the top answers that helps push someone through, that would be kind of a common thing to look for as a recruiter, as your experience in HR across multiple industries, that you found to be a truism?
So in my personal experience with my background and now, I will always stand by that I will hire for culture over skills any day of the week. Obviously, we have certain positions that do require a certain background, certain skill set. Accounting is a great example of that. If we're looking for somebody to be a financial controller, we do need them to meet a certain set of requirements and prerequisites. But maybe for some of the more non-traditional roles, I'm looking for people that are going to fit in with our culture, that have that work ethic and that drive to grow along with us. That are willing to just come in and boots on the ground and get in here and just work hard and do this. Because for the most part, we can usually teach technical skills, and we certainly use some different tools along the way to test for that technical aptitude. We use a couple of personality type testing. We use the DISC profile, which is kind of a personality, very similar to the Briggs-Myers assessment. We also use OneScore, which is it's a Wonderlic. It just kind of tests some different. It's got some different skills type testing. It's not super long. It takes maybe 15 or 20 minutes for applicants to get through. But that helps us to assess kind of on our end, do they have the technical aptitude to successfully, perform the job that they're applying for? And then based off of that, we're looking for, are they a culture fit? Are they going to be loyal? Do they want to stay here? Do they want to grow along with the company? Those, for me, that's usually what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I think you can definitely tell when you're talking with someone. I think what you want to ask yourself is, could I see myself working with this person? I think asking yourself, would I get along with this person? Would I want to work with this person is big when you're hiring for culture. Because, and as a company, I like to say we don't hire bodies. We're not looking for bodies. We're looking for people. We're looking for people who want to be a part of this culture, a part of this team. And, I get it. Some positions are where they're looking for bodies, but that's not what we do. And what we find is, if we are talking to them and the conversation is going really, really well, it almost doesn't even matter what questions you're asking. It's more so, how do they respond to them? And how would you see them responding to different aspects of the challenge that they'll have to take on? How would you see them interacting with other team members that you know very well because you work closely with them? So culture, it's the biggest thing there.
And I think too, another thing that we've really had to kind of keep in mind, especially post-pandemic, is that a lot of people are making really big career transitions because there have been some big changes in our world the past couple of years. So we're seeing a big shift in people that may have had a career in one field and are now doing a total 180 and doing something totally different. And I think it's really important that, as far as recruiting is concerned, is to not discount that, to be able to look at somebody's resume and say, okay, maybe you've been a restaurant manager for the past 6 years. What skills are transferable from that to this? Because a lot of times there's actually a lot there. And especially if the culture fit is there, I think then that ends up being a win for both parties. But I think, that's part of why, we talk about kind of that equal opportunity, and not even really looking at resumes until they get to a certain point in our recruitment process. Because I think it's usually very easy on the front end to look at somebody's resume and be like, well, they're applying for a customer service role, but it's, they've been working as a cashier at a beauty shop for the past couple of years. Like, how does that transfer to the call center? But, oftentimes it probably does. And especially sitting down and having a conversation with the person then, or maybe looking at some of their responses to our assessments can help us to see that.
Excellent. And then we'll give one more opportunity to the folks in the audience to ask any questions you would like from into the question box, and we'll pose them for Annie and Trevor. And I will pose one more question for you as a wrap up. You're both newer with Eco Plumbers. What is one thing that Eco Plumbers does differently than the places you previously worked at that you would say is a best practice you appreciate and might recommend to someone else to do? Whether it's tactical or looser than that.
Can I say everything? That's really. So, I came from a large corporation. I was there for 7 years and truly don't have anything bad to say about them. It's, but Eco is, because we're a growing company, it just has so many opportunities. And, we've got the great culture and truly, after having some experience, having been in some other places, I can honestly say that Eco Plumbers is the best company that I've ever worked for. We do really look for that culture fit through our recruiting process. And I think, one of the great things about working for a smaller company and a company that is growing as rapidly as we are is that our team members, regardless of what position they hold within the company, have the opportunity to have a very direct impact on our growth and on process improvements. If somebody in our call center goes to me or to the call center manager and says, hey, we have this process in place and been doing it for a couple months, but I just feel like we could do it better. And here's my idea for how we could do that. We're going to give them a shot at it. And I think that's the really cool part about what we have going at Eco Plumbers. It's one of the things that I love the most is just having that opportunity to have a very direct impact on our growth and on our school.
And I think, I love my previous positions and they were all very different from what we do here. And I've done recruiting for 4 or 5 years now. And I think what I love the most about ECO, and what I think ECO does right, is our position, like I said, our openings, our positions are great. I think the easiest part and the best part about ECO is that, like Annie said, the opportunities are fantastic here. I genuinely think that all the positions that we offer, I don't ever feel any sort of way about talking to people about them. I'm not sitting in the back of my head thinking, this would be a rough position, I would not want to do this. I would say I would do this job too. And we've all been there, like where there's a job where you're like, oh man, somebody just has to do this, but no, like these are all great opportunities that I would do the job too myself. I mean, I'm not exactly built to be a plumber, but I could still do it, and I think that is something that I would say to any company that is looking to improve their recruitment process is, if it's almost like if you build it, they will come. If you make good jobs for people, you don't really have to try that hard to get people to come and work for you. Places that don't struggle for workers, like the big tech companies or these giant corporations that have great standings in the community and great standings as company, they don't struggle to find people. And there's a reason for that. It's because they work well with their employees, they have a great culture, and people just know that going into it. And that's why we win top places to work and things like that. And why we strive to win those things is because we know that it's important to get people, at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. At Top Places to Work, they gave a key phrase, and it seems like you very much embody it, and it is grow them so everybody wants them, but love them so much they never want to leave you.
Yeah, that's the goal for sure.
Sounds like you're absolutely doing that. So the very last question, I don't see anything coming up in the boxes. What is something you would want to implement from your past positions into Eco Plumbers? Or what would be something that you would say, like, if you don't have it as a mid-sized, large business, small business, get this, do this, it will save your sanity?
I think the thing that I think everybody should be doing that we are doing is kind of that recruit to reality, give people the opportunity to, to kind of tour your company and really explore who you are as an organization. And, for different positions, I think it is really crucial that people have an opportunity to ride and decide, kind of like we do with for our Eco University students, give them the opportunity to come in for an hour, or half a day or whatever, and just kind of see what does boots on the ground in this position actually look like? Because oftentimes, what you're seeing on that job ad and what reality is very different. Or people just have different expectations, and so they don't really know exactly what they're walking into. And so I think that's part of just having that transparency by doing that, by either, the tour or just giving them an opportunity to really get a chance to sit in on it before they make the decision that, yes, I'm going to sign on the dotted line and come.
And I agree. You kind of stole my thunder there. I was saying. So yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it really is at the end of the day that we talk to the candidates about what the job is, and talk to everyone about it. Give everyone an opportunity, because resumes and responses and everything, they can only tell us so much. But actually having a conversation with them at the end of the day, I think that's something that every company can take forward if you have the time and the workforce to do that. To talk to everyone, because you never know when you give somebody an opportunity.
So I kind of have one more question. In the research and preparing for this interview with you, I saw fabulous videos that seemed very first person, literally in the hands of the employees themselves to recruit. And to me, that seems to be a unique effort. Also, you dared to move into the TikTok world.
Yep.
We'll leave on one happy note. Please explain how this is working and what was your decision of comfort level coming to use these crowdsourcing tools for recruitment purposes?
Yeah, well, I can't beat them, join them. No, I'm kidding. Truly though, everybody's on social media these days. That is the easiest and the cheapest way to communicate with a really large audience. And so, it was a decision pretty early on. We do tend to be a pretty tech forward company. I know we're a plumbing company, and obviously, the trade of plumbing has been around for thousands of years, but we're always looking for new and innovative ways to change and update things, and that includes our marketing as well. So we do shoot a lot of videos. We do put a lot of stuff out there on social media. We have Facebook and Instagram. We've got a TikTok page now. And so I think that has been a crucial part of helping people kind of get like a snapshot of who we are and what it's like, a day of whatever working with BBB Plumbers is to, we're not using paid actors. We are using our own employees, and it's on a volunteer basis. Like if we're shooting those videos, we put it out there and say, hey, do you want to volunteer to do this? And more often than not, we've got more volunteers than we do, time to shoot videos, which is great. But then, we have the opportunity for people to get a look at on the inside.
And, at the end of the day, it's, you got to give it the time. You got to be cool with the kids. You got to use
Absolutely.
TikTok, all that stuff. No cap, like that's what the kids say. I think what we were thinking when because we've shot some videos pretty recently to update a lot of our stuff. And I think the thought process is, there's a lot of jobs out there. And there's a lot of text out there that you can read. I mean, if you're looking at Indeed and you're typing in, let's say, call center, for example, there's got to be like hundreds of call center ones. So to differentiate ourselves also, and to make it easier for people to consume, we wanted to give those opportunities for people to just watch a quick 1 to 2 minute video, to talk about what the job is or what it's like to be with us. And then, it's just different. I think it's just people are inundated with so many ads nowadays and so many different companies vying for their attention that it's a losing.
And I think more often than not, people are going to be more willing to sit down and watch, a 30, 60-second video than they would to sit down and read some like paragraphs long description or
and
whatever.
It's not always the most fun writing either. Very mundane tasks listed.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us. We very much appreciate you coming, Annie and Trevor. Thank you. Fascinating discussion.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And then thank you for joining us, all of our associated businesses and accredited businesses. If you have any questions, reach out to us. If you'd like to use your benefits of accreditation more strongly, get a nice little audit and make sure that you're using and taking advantage of everything the BBB has to offer, reach out to us. We'll help you. We'd love to help you. So with that, I'm Jessica Hamlin, Communications Director here at the BBB serving Central Ohio. Thank you. Have a beautiful week.